Knocked Loose is easily one of the biggest hardcore bands in the world, with over 2 million monthly listeners. But the question is, how did they get there? What's their story as a band? That's what we're gonna find out today. So my friend, as usual, take a cup of coffee, cigarette, cheeseburger, whatever you feel like, as we explore the story of Knocked Loose. Real quick, before starting the video, if you want to be a part of our community, feel free to join our Discord. The link is in the description. We also have our live deathcore podcast every Wednesday on Twitch with all your favorite bands. You don't want to miss that. I also wanted to say thank you for all the love and support concerning the merch, the channel, everything. It's been amazing. And for those who didn't know that, I started my own clothing line. This is what I'm wearing right now. My website is linked in the description if you're interested. You can also have mugs. This is a new one though. It's not on it's not on my website yet, but you get the picture. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you so much. And now let's start the video. So the band was founded in 2013 in Olin County, Kentucky. And it wasn't called Knocked Loose at first, it was called Manipulator. And the thing is, as they were about to play their very first show, they received a message from a band with the same name asking them to, you know, change theirs because they had it first. Classic story here. And if you've been in a band in your life at least once and you tried picking up like a name, it's a big struggle to find one that nobody has whatsoever. Anyhow, what happened was they decided to call themselves Knocked Loose. Their original lineup was Brian Garris on vocals, of course, Isaac Hale on guitar, Kevin Auden on bass, and Dylan Isaac on drums. Which, for some reason, I cannot find any freaking pictures anywhere. Like, the dude is a mystery or something. But I found a very early live performance of the band in which you can see him. So I guess there's that. I'm gonna show you in a bit. And as much as they couldn't call themselves Manipulator, they still decided to call their very first single with the name. So as you can see, or as you can hear, I guess, it was so raw and like brutal and heavy and angry even, I would say. Angry is a word I'm probably gonna use a lot in that video. And of course, my favorite part was the big two-step towards the end with the breakdown, which isn't surprising at all coming from a deathcore fan, I guess. And as I mentioned earlier, I found a very early live performance they did at the time. I don't think it was their very first show, but it must have been, you know, one of the first at least. And it was pretty cool. Awesome, right? I think it's worth mentioning that it wasn't uploaded by the band, it was uploaded by someone on YouTube. And so a year after that, the band commented on the video saying, "This is all old shit, we don't play anymore. Got a new drummer too." So clearly, you know, they moved on and they were not super proud of what they did at that time. During that live set, they performed like 3-4 songs that were never released, basically. And not only that, but they did a demo in 2013 that they completely deleted, as well as a video for a super cool song that at least we can listen to now, and it was called The Have-Nots. As I said, even if the band themselves were not, or at least didn't seem like they were proud of it, it still paid off. You know, it might be also the live performance, the hype building, you know, with the band and all that, but they got signed by a label called Lil Heart Records. And so with their label, with everything, they went in studio and they released in 2014 their very first EP called Pop Culture. This EP is so freaking good. I mean, I wasn't ready for that. When I decided to do the video about Knocked Loose, it's simply because I've recently got into them with the last records and stuff like that. At first, I wasn't sure. You know, it's very particular the way Brian is doing his vocals and whatnot. Now, by making this video, honestly, I've became clearly a fan of them. And so it was awesome to discover all these great records. And this one is no exception. Brian, you know, since the previous material in only a year had improved so much. I would even say that he found his original sound on this one, or at least that's my impression. And like musically, it's so cool. It's pure hardcore vibes, but it's so bouncy, and the breakdowns, there's like a beatdown element to it. Like it's very similar to the heaviness we're gonna have in bands like I Declare War or like very heavy deathcore, which of course for a hardcore band isn't something you hear all the time, and it makes it so much heavier in my opinion. And so yeah, it was just top tier, so freaking good. After that, they spent the year mostly touring and, you know, promoting, doing their thing. They also released an official video for their song Gospel. And after that, in 2015, I believe, yeah, they did a split EP with a band called Damage Good. Okay, this is even heavier, so freaking good. The first half of it, and I don't want to be mean, I don't want to be disrespectful, nothing like that, but the second half, the other band, Damage Good, it just wasn't for me. It might be because it's right after hearing Knocked Loose, but going from this crazy heavy place to a more classic hardcore punk vibe, it wasn't it For me, we're just talking about personal preferences here. I'm not a typical hardcore fan by any means. I love the hardcore parts in like deathcore and metalcore and whatnot. But yeah, we're just talking about personal preferences here. But the knock loose part on it, oh wow, like simply just incredible. After that, they decided to make an official video, if we can call it that way, which was them in a pickup truck, basically. Then, of course, the next step was to promote the EP live with the new songs, something they did very well.
New York! Let's see what the fuck you got!
I mean, when the band is playing at the same level as the crowd, you just know things are gonna get crazy, right? Anyway, yeah, so the live performance were awesome during that time. It was also a lineup change era, if you will. They changed their drummer twice in 2 years. In 2014, it was Nate Woods, I believe. But at this point, in 2015, it was Kevin Kane, who's still their drummer to this day. That's awesome. And then they hired another guitar player, Cole Crutchfield. And just like that, they had a new lineup. Then, in early 2016, the band officially got signed by Pure Noise Record. Big milestone for them. It was the perfect label, I believe. During the summer, they did an amazing tour with Acacia Strain and Oceano, and obviously, Knocked Loose was still killing it live. At this point, everybody was super excited to hear new music from Knocked Loose because right before their tour, they had announced a new album, which I completely forgot to mention. And so in July, they released a brand new single called Dead Ringer. A very sick song, super heavy, obviously. I feel like I'm gonna say that the whole video, but you're gonna see they keep getting heavier and heavier, and there's no way around it. I'm gonna have to mention probably that they're heavy like another 50 times during the course of the video. I'm sorry about that. And yeah, so this song, Dead Ringer, I loved it. It's very catchy and then great and memorable. And I could explain to you the video concept with my terrible English and pronunciation, but instead, I actually found an interview in which Brian himself is going to explain to you.
Narrow it down, it's just about the people that I look up to in music, and a lot of that is like rooted from my family. And like I said I was going to keep this a secret, but I'll tell you because I'm just like too excited about it. The song, the name Dead Ringer was actually my pop, which is my mom's dad. He played music his whole life. He played bass for over 60 years, toured the world, and he was in a band called Dead Ringer. The word Dead Ringer means like two things that are similar. Like me and my younger brother Dallas, we are dead ringers of each other because we look so much alike.
Which, my friend, brings us to September 2016, when Knocked Loose officially released their brand new album called Laugh Tracks. Wow, man. This album was, in my opinion, an improvement on every aspect. First of all, they kept their hardcore roots, which was awesome, but they added a lot of metalcore elements like melodies and stuff. I don't know if it's mostly Cole joining the band and whatnot, but the blend of metalcore and hardcore is so sick and makes them sound very unique, and that's what I like personally. I even prefer this one, I would say, over the previous material. And so, yeah, Brian's vocals, he, I think, found his sound on the previous one, but on this one, as a vocalist, in terms of performance, I think he got better. It's more intense, more emotional, even angrier is probably the proper terms, and that's I cannot move along without mentioning that this album features the infamous dog barking call out. Believe it or not, it was quite a big thing for the band. It became a meme literally online, and it was featured in every YouTube top breakdown callouts, compilation. Tons of people were reacting to it. It was this whole thing. And even though the band was feeling like it's ruining it, which I can get, you know, they're serious about their music, I also found an interview in which they explain how grateful they were because of all the exposure they got.
Yeah, it reached a ton of people, and we're definitely grateful for that. I mean, like the singer of Between the Buried and Me, like made a video of his dog barking to it. So like, it definitely like went above and beyond our expectations, and we're definitely grateful for that. I was just barking. I just wanted to sound like an idiot. Thought that it was cool. So.
During the same interview, Brian mentioned how much he didn't care about being considered real hardcore or metalcore, beatdown, labels like that, you know?
I don't call Knocked Loose a hardcore band. I don't call Knocked Loose a metalcore band. I think that you can call us whatever you want. Like, I could care less. But like, as far as like people saying who's allowed in hardcore, like nobody's in charge of hardcore. Hardcore is for everybody, and that's how it will always be. And it's just like bitter people that don't want the new kids coming in, but then those guys drop out and the new kids stay, and it's just it's annoying how much people care about subgenres. And I know that we get a lot of backlash for it, but like, I don't care. Like, we're playing 6 shows. I'm on the sickest tour we've ever done, and we're just gonna keep doing what we do. We're gonna keep touring with metalcore bands, we're gonna keep touring with hardcore bands, and people are gonna say whatever they want.
It always makes me laugh when I see people online in my comment sections or pretty much on everything, always debating if it's deathcore, brutal death, technical metalcore, or tech death, whatever the hell, because the band themselves, they never care. Trust me, like, I do tons of videos that I listen, like, I watch like hours of interviews and podcasts and whatever. Every single time a band got asked, like, are you metalcore, deathcore? They always answer how much they don't care. Like, they're just heavy, and there's that. And so I don't know, it's always funny to me how the fans are invested in it, but the band themselves, the artists literally making the music, couldn't care less about that stuff. So yeah, to go back to the album, as I said earlier, just on top of their game, Knocked Loose really just dropped a masterpiece. It was extremely well received, and the hype at this point was quite real, was awesome. I also, talking about interview, I also found another one in which he was explaining the meaning behind the name Laugh Tracks.
How you carry yourself on the outside versus what you feel on the inside. Like putting up a front, you may seem like all calm and collected, but like really you're not. And there's a lot of that ties in throughout the album lyrically. Laugh Tracks is basically just like a metaphor for like doing what you're told. They've done like research on laugh tracks where they've released movies on the east side of the United States without laugh tracks and movies on the west side with laugh tracks, and the ratings are always better when they have laugh tracks. It's like you have somebody telling you when something's funny. And Knocked Loose is a heavy band, so like you could listen to us and we're basically just telling you to mosh, we're just telling you to be an idiot. But it's a lot more than that, for me at least. Like, this is my only outlet, and I don't take that for granted. So that's kind of what I hope people get out of it. Like, I hope that they enjoy how aggressive it is, how heavy it is, but at the same time, like, pay attention to what people say.
Also, in another one, and then I'm gonna stop for a little bit. I'm showing you like a lot of interviews and stuff. These things are interesting to me. It's part of the reason why I love doing those videos so much. But yeah, I want to include this part because even though they don't care about being called metalcore, hardcore, or all these things, it was still interesting to hear Brian explain why they were kind of both considered hardcore and metalcore with, different influences and whatnot.
Well, like, we've always loved both. Like, literally every member of my band loves both, except for, like, our bass player and our drummer are kind of, like, new to hardcore. But like, me and our guitar player, like, grew up, we were exposed to both at the same time. And, like, when you're younger, there's no difference. Like, when you're younger, you can listen to bands like Hatebreed because of Headbangers Ball, but on the same thing, you have Underoath on Headbangers Ball, so, like, you see no difference. You don't see metalcore, hardcore, so, like, I love that, like, because I still listen to both, I still support both, and, like, Knocked Loose wants to always be able to do whatever we want to do as far as doing a metalcore tour or a hardcore tour. Like, we tour with bands that we like, we would never want to be put in a one genre.
I really gotta say, I love Brian. I don't know him personally, but just he has such a great, genuine vibe, and he seems like a very good person. It's cool to see the contrast between him performing as a frontman on stage and then this super relaxed, kind of introverted dude in real life. And it almost reminds me of Mitch Locker. It was different. I think Mitch was maybe like way more outgoing, but you get the picture. It's always fun when, as a fan, you realize that this artist you look up to is also a great human being with a good heart. Makes you like them even more, and you feel like you're connecting. It humanized them in a way. It reminds you that they're people just like you, and it's something that I always appreciate, really. And so before moving on, I know I just said that I won't show you any interviews for a little while, but if you didn't watch my Lorna Shore video, which you should, it's one of my videos that I'm really proud of, by the way. Austin, their drummer, called very early on that Knocked Loose really deserved more recognition, and I thought it was worth including in this video specifically?
I love Knocked Loose, you know, I mean, I'm sure the band will get the recognition that they deserve, but, you know, they're just a band that, you know, they're a bunch of young dudes like us, and they're just doing whatever they want, whenever they want, you know, whether it's playing big venues, playing small venues, playing shit venues, you know what I mean? They're just going out there doing it, working really hard. And
It's so cool that he saw their potential very early on. Knocked Loose is one of those very hard-working bands that never stop and is very inspiring. So yeah, even cooler than that, we all know, like, I'm here making a video about them. They got the recognition they deserve, I believe, and they're still getting more popular by the day. We'll get to that. But yeah, I don't know, it was cool to see that people saw it early on. I was reading even the comments on YouTube, and back in 2014, 15, people were saying like, this band is gonna be huge and stuff like that. I don't know, I think it's awesome. But anyway, after that, they made another video for a cool song called Last Words. Great video, pretty dark. I mean, the video concept, you see a little boy finding his mother dead, and he has to bury her. Like, it's very dark, but it's also matching the atmosphere of the song, which is quite heavy itself, so it works. And also, I gotta say, every time, even though it's a classic, every time a metal band or hardcore band does a video in nature, surrounded, you know, in forest, it just works. I'm always gonna enjoy that. And so, yeah, they also made a third video for their song called Rain. Pretty cool video, very simple concept. I mean, the song is called Rain, it's raining in the video. I don't think we need to go into much details. It was still cool nonetheless. And as I said earlier, the band kept touring, promoting it, and Knocked Loose is just like always touring and stuff. So in May 2017, a year later, they came back with a brand new video. Only this time it was combining two songs. Very good choice. It was Billy No Mates, which is my personal favorite, and you've got Counting Worms with the infamous barking call out. And this, I think, was the moment where it got viral with the call out. I could be wrong, but this video really made them more popular. Knocked Loose was way bigger at this point. They were part of the coolest festivals and events, like the Vans Warped Tour itself, killing it out there. And as they were, you know, getting more popular, they also got quite a reputation out there for the violence at their show, I guess. Not that they were encouraging that, but the fans were talking about the fact that it's almost impossible to go at their show without getting hurt almost. And I found an interview in which Brian is addressing that. He's explaining how, as much as it's cool for a band to know that people are going crazy, he also wanted people to have a safe space and really enjoy the show.
To where it gives us like this like stigma that like, oh, Knocked Loose is violent, Knocked Loose is crazy. But I do firmly believe that there should be a safe place to stand. I think that if you're in the pit, you know what you're getting into. You're volunteering to get hit just like you're hitting. But I think that if you're there and you don't want to get hit, there should be a place where you can stand and you're not going to get hit.
Yeah.
We've definitely played shows where there's just like no safe zone. Like everybody's just getting messed up in every corner of the room. And like it's cool sometimes, but sometimes it just gets taken too far. Whereas like if everybody's on board, if everybody's going crazy, I love it. I love a violent pit as long as everybody's down. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's something that I don't get to talk about as much as I would like to, because I have people like I follow the tweets and everything. Like I see it, I see people saying that like, oh, I want to go to a Knocked Loose show, but I don't want to get my nose broken. Like I want them to be able to come to a Knocked Loose show and not get their nose broken, unless they want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so well said. I couldn't agree more, Brian, on this one. And so, yeah, as I said, the band was getting bigger and they were on fire at this point, touring with bands like Beartooth and Parkway Drive and obviously Knocked Loose themselves, killing it more than ever. Man, those live performances are absolutely insane. Talking about live performance, apparently Knocked Loose have the sweetest, most wholesome ritual before all their shows.
Me and our drummer hug for 20 seconds. Yeah, he read something that said like, if you hug somebody for 20 seconds, it releases endorphins in your brain that make you happy. So it's very like soothing. We always hug for 20 seconds before we play.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about wholesome, cute moments, look at this one.
Do you like the pit?
No. Isaac's the pitter. I'm scared.
What is counting balloons?
It means you're dead.
I mean, is it even possible at this point to hate this guy? I don't think it is. You can hate on the music if you want, but him as a person, I don't think you can. It's my personal opinion, I guess. And yeah, I also wanted to mention, not that it has to do with the music or anything, but Brian decided to cut his hair completely, really short. Does it matter? Probably not. But I'm still saying it because I was a barber for 7 years, okay? I have the right to notice these things. Then in 2019, they were still touring with the biggest bands, even A Day to Remember, which, fun fact, I also heard during a podcast, I think, Brian was mentioning how fans of A Day to Remember were not necessarily there to watch the breakdowns and stuff. A lot of them were there for the acoustic, more soft material, I guess. So when they would be watching Knocked Loose, they seemed traumatized. So he was explaining that it was a kind of a weird thing. As much as it was good for Knocked Loose, it was also funny when this would happen. Also, they were touring with Boston Manor, which I have to say is so freaking good. I think this band is very much underrated, and I don't know, I wanted to mention it. I'm a fan of Boston Manor. I think they're awesome. While we're talking about being awesome, I was so glad to see that me and Brian almost have the same top 3 TV series.
New Girl, Parks and Rec, and The Office.
I mean, I never watched New Girl, but The Office, I mean, so good. And Parks and Rec, if you love The Office, you should definitely watch Parks and Recreation. It's so freaking good. Trust me on this one.
Hi there. Is there a project you're working on?
I know more than you.
All right.
I mean, it's a short scene, but it gives you an idea of how amazing the show is. It's one of my favorite scenes, at least. And so, yeah, after that, they went back in the studio with none other than Will Putney, very popular producer. If you've been watching my videos, he produced so many albums, very big name out there. Also, there's a video on YouTube of the recording process with him, how different it was. Brian was also explaining how every member is a big part of the creative process, including him. Brian, even if he's a vocalist, a lot of people have this image that the vocalists only do vocals and whatnot. It might be true sometimes, but Knocked Loose is not one of those bands. Brian is very much involved in the concepts of everything. So I recommend, if you're a fan of Knocked Loose and you want to know more, it's a great video. Which brings us to the release of, I think, yeah, it was by the end of the summer. They released an amazing album called A Different Shade of Blue. Amazing album, really outstanding. The songwriting to me was just better. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt more connected, more fluid, even though it's still extremely surprising. I mean, those breakdowns it feels like you're getting punched in the face or something, but I don't know, it was an improvement in terms of writing. I swear I could hear it through the whole thing. And so, yeah, just better, man. They keep getting better. It's very rare I'm gonna say something like that. And I feel like it's the goal for every band out there. But Knocked Loose, always better. It's their thing. And vocally, I mean, it's no exception. Brian just killed it. The emotion, intensity, everything is on point. I really appreciated the back vocals, the low back vocals that they also do live. So good. It's adding an extra layer, right? Like Brian is always in the high-pitched vocals pretty much, so having the back vocals, lows, it's so freaking good. Also, while we're talking about vocals, the guest vocals that Emma from Dying Wish did, she killed it. I sincerely believe that this album is a masterpiece from start to finish. It's just top tier, amazing. And obviously, I'm not the only one who thinks like that, because it was extremely well received, charting everywhere. And yeah, it was just a beautiful moment, I think, for the band. They were just thriving at this point. And you have a lot of pressure when your band is getting more popular and whatnot. The expectations are higher, but to realize that you met those and even exceeded those expectations, it must be kind of a dream for them. In terms of official videos, they released one for the song Mistakes Like Fractures. It was a cool concept. I really appreciated the blue paint everywhere, matching the name and the concept of the album. And another podcast I was watching, Brian said that for Knocked Loose, they were kind of joking and really diving into this blue thing. Like everything they would buy would be blue, down to like a Red Bull, but like blueberry Red Bull, whatever. So it's no surprise that in their videos they would do the same thing, but I still appreciate it when a band fully dive in a concept like that. It's cool to see. Also, the general look of the video was more of a new metal kind of early 2000 vibe to it. Really loved that. For those who don't know, I'm a big new metal fan, and so please don't hate me too much on it, or do if you want. I mean. And so yeah, after that they did another video for the song And Still I Wander South. Another cool concept, different shades of blue through it, maybe a little more subtle than the other one. And I really appreciated the old school retro, like square MySpace kind of aesthetic. Great production. Once again, I believe you also probably won't be surprised to hear that their live performances at this point were just even crazier. Then, unfortunately, the pandemic happened, so the band took a step back, but in October 2021, they came back with a brand new EP called A Tear in the Fabric of Life. Wow, man, such a good EP. Quite different also. This one almost sounded metal to me. Like, it's very dark and like there's a lot of ambient sounds and the melodies and all that. It was, I don't know, like there was this different vibe to it. And I gotta say, it's quite impressive that a band like Knocked Loose constantly reinvent themselves while keeping the original spirit. It seems like it's simple, but it's not. It's very difficult to do, and they do it every time. It's their thing almost. Yeah, so overall, just so good. Brian, if you can believe it, sounds even angrier, and you know, I don't know if it's, you know, it was a dark time, right? Like the pandemic for everyone. I don't know if it's kind of part of it, but I could feel like an extra layer of darkness, if it makes sense. Which I don't know. It was a good, different vibe, but I loved it. So that's the important part for me. And yeah, another thing they did, which was quite original and cool, was a short film. And if you like the EP, I really recommend watching it. It's great and very well made. I love the whole production and whatnot. During that period of time, I'm not sure exactly when and why, but they replaced their guitar player Cole with Nico Calderon. And so at this point, this was the lineup. Of course, as you probably guessed, after the pandemic, the fans were very excited to see Knocked Loose live again, and when they came back, I mean... So then, as usual, they kept doing their thing, killing it out there, just enjoying the comeback in the scene and the comeback of the scene, if I can say that. And in June 2023, they came back with a double single concept. It was 2 songs with a kind of a 2-part video, but like one big concept. both songs are absolutely amazing. It was Deep in the Willow and Everything is Quiet Now. With the call out at the end, it's super good. But yeah, both the video and the music, it's just everything was top tier, and you could tell that, you know, they don't release music just to release music. If they release something, it's because they had new ideas and they felt like they could improve, and this was just part of it to me. It was so freaking good. This time it wasn't produced by Will Putney. It was produced by Drew Falk, a very popular, talented producer out there, and for what it's worth, I think he did a fantastic job because it sounds freaking amazing. I don't know if you guys even understand how big Knocked Loose was at this point. They were playing the biggest freaking festivals, and for a heavy band like that, playing something like Coachella is something you don't even imagine doing. Like, you don't even dream about that because you don't even know if it's possible. So I don't know, it was huge for them to do that festival.
Really, to us, I feel like the Flyer was a win. Like, not the only win, obviously, but we were like, we're here and we're like the oddball of the weekend, and like that's enough. The set could be weird, but it's still like kind of like making a statement, you know?
Yeah.
And then for the set to go as well as it did, and for them to put us on a stage with no barricade, which was like super surprising.
You're like, are you guys sure you want to do this?
Yeah, I really just would have never expected that.
2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
This is what was crazy.
And the second weekend, they didn't stream the second weekend, but the second weekend was crazier.
And apparently, on top of that, Billie Eilish watched their set, which brings us to very recently, in May 2024, when Knocked Loose officially released their brand new album called You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To. I mean, what do you want me to say? So freaking good. It was every year. If you can even, like, they keep going heavier and heavier and crazier, and it's so cool to see that. It's always the exact opposite thing with every band in metal almost. It's like, it's either they stay the same or they go kind of more, you know, with clean singing and whatnot. Knocked Loose is just like, how can we push the limits even more? And they succeed every time. It's completely crazy. This one was quite different if we compare it to the previous EP, which, as I said, was a little more metal to me, but this one was straight up beat down, hardcore, even bouncy, I would say. The snare, man, the snare sound. I don't know who decided on this sound, but wow, like, even it was reminding me of Brutal Death and deathcore, like, you know, like the tin can, like the bouncy snare that we all love. Like, it's very similar to that, or at least that's what I got from it. But wow, just overall so good. Brian once again sounds even angrier, more pissed off, which is perfect. It's what you want on an album like that. I'm gonna repeat myself, but just top tier, another masterpiece. What do you want me to say? Knocked Loose just never disappoint. In terms of guest vocals on the album, I wanted to mention, of course, Chris from Motionless in White being on Slaughterhouse 2, when, as we all know, Brian was on the song Slaughterhouse from Motionless in White. I'm sure you remember that. And the cool thing is, they performed together, and it's freaking sick.
It's not
As for their official videos, they made one for the song Blinding Fate, which reminded me of the movie The Village. You know, it looks like a cult and the forest and whatnot. They also made another one for the song Don't Reach For Me, which is my personal favorite song on the album. Very dark concept video, which once again was the goal because the song is extremely heavy. Also, as you probably saw very recently, they made their video for the song Suffocate featuring Poppy, which was extremely surprising for everybody, but I think she killed it. It's so good and cool to see, and it belongs, like it makes sense, if you can believe it. And cooler than that, they do it live together. And that, my friend, pretty much brings us to today. As we all know, the band is killing it. They're getting even more popular by the day. Brian is featured on tons of cool podcasts, and everybody's talking about Knocked Loose, and we're all excited to see where it's going. Oh my god, I'm still drinking this. Like, I think it's been like 3 hours I'm filming the video. It's so cold, and somehow anyway, thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. As usual, if you want to leave a like and subscribe, it's a good way to support me. Also, again, if you didn't join our Discord, it's a great place to be, especially if you want to be updated on the channel, if you want to ask me anything, if you want to be updated on the podcast. And again, you don't want to miss that. Like, you can ask your questions to your favorite artists while we're live. It's super fun, I promise. And of course, please consider just going on my website, and even without buying, like, just take a look at the merch if it's your thing and give me your feedbacks. And also, very important, I cannot believe that I'm saying it at the end, but if you want to leave a little comment telling me what you like about the band or additional information, whatever things you would like to see me improve even. I cannot improve my pronunciation clearly, but I can work on other things, so feel free to do that. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for everything. You guys are the best. I still can't believe we're almost at 20,000 subscribers. It's such an amazing journey, and I appreciate you all. And I'm gonna stop talking now, so I'll see you in the next one.